restraint of trade or whatever wells.
Yeah,
And
it says T.
they did allow to do it if they had to do a firmware update.
That's
So
right.
they did a firmware update.
So what's this,
and
change
we
settings
made
such as making a
Because I got the
connection
cheap.
meter?
But I've got to work around on that finally.
Mine is just out
Wi-Fi
of that
back on
kind of last
about
week.
Man, well, you did, yeah, but you clicked the button, I think when you click that thing, it turned it off.
So I'll go back to here.
That's a
No
camera.
Wi-Fi.
That's where
Yeah,
you know,
I have
so it
Ken.
should be.
Right now I've got an HP, you know where I get it? There's a thing called Smart.
Yeah, I usually get it. I usually get it at Best Buy, which is not cheap.
Network and everything.
No, but I mean, it's like I got,
It should have.
had to get, you know, the 3 color meat box, and it was like, all 3 of the yellows, and like $20.
Yeah, that's about what, there's 4 of them. The black one and then,
Yeah, see, on mine, it would have been closer.
This?
Yeah, see what, I don't know what that is.
So that's why,
It
I've
should
been
show-
using it forever, and then this last firmware, they had to work around basically back out the firmware.
It's like the only thing that shows.
Yeah, and what else is going on?
One of these down here.
Mhm.
One of these down here.
well, you suppose we're gonna do anybody else? Somebody?
Oh, very good. Hi!
Hello. How are you?
Are you astronomy?
I am.
Oh, welcome.
This is my second meeting.
No, okay, not necessarily. Would you?
Mike Baldessaro.
Yes, I know the name. Oh, good name.
Good, thank
Should.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Or not, one of those
Yeah,
You get
yeah.
emails every
I am.
That's Wi-Fi, it should show there.
Yeah.
So we're stuck
I
in
know,
there.
what I tell you, man.
Yeah.
All right, no problemo.
I mean, it's on, and it sees whatever the laser
See,
bed
he's doing
is.
computer. Been
Yeah,
singing with
yeah.
him.
Hot really know.
Astronomy.
Okay.
And we
Cripple
have-
Creek, what the hell are you doing here?
Oh, I went to Colorado last month, and
Oh, okay.
I didn't go to Cripple Creek even though I've been there before, but my
Right.
friends brought this back.
Recognizing Wi-Fi.
Angel.
Hello.
And this is
Now we have an angel.
Oh,
the.
you can't mess with that.
Yes, so these are our PR and human contact individuals.
Oh gosh, I don't know about all that.
Which board did you get to put on this last time?
Oh, the Washburn Board of Regents.
Yes.
I keep myself out of trouble somehow.
Oh, yes, I think my grandson, he's kind of like to go there.
Oh,
Wait a minute.
And I got both my bachelors there, my son got his
Okay.
bachelor's.
Do you
and
need
my daughter's
Wi-Fi to run
so,
Oh,
and
okay.
my husband laid up
Do you
got
need
his.
internet to run the program?
Oh, awesome.
So we got a bunch of,
Well, everything's
You could probably make
downloaded
a
for me
building
except for auto
the
or
money that's
whatever.
spent there over.
And
I've started.
I don't,
So many.
You don't have the program you need to run.
and I don't have the files either, I didn't put the
And I
files
said,
out.
okay, because I got a bunch of scholarships. I said, do you know what it costs?
And I don't know if you can even open up, I guess that would be it.
One of the books was a great big.
And that has
Actually,
always
one
come
of
up
that
here.
was, so come to
in
think of
that
it,
one.
I had
Sure,
all
yeah.
mine until the last semester,
can
and I
go-
took 150, whatever,
Oh,
dollars
yeah.
from embryology or whatever.
I can use the,
Oh man.
Oh, yeah.
PPP.
Yeah, because I don't know, I
Get
can't
the,
remember how she said,
You
but I
use all
said,
of them.
I
once I
can't
got paid like $25.
Oh gosh.
reinstall
Oh,
it.
that's
And
wild.
then, you know, when I went back and got my second degree, I just had to get specific.
Well,
Yeah.
I can't because I don't have
And I
any.
didn't have scholarship for that one.
All right.
Alright, Russ. He's trying to pooch
And
here
then
somewhere.
my son was.
It's all right, we can record this and,
And he said, no, they got new stuff, he said they keep hiring these management people, they always sit
Alright,
down and ask
good.
him,
Pip.
just to justify the
And
salary.
there's
And
the
he
full-
has, he got that.
Four-seater.
And they just keep adding all these layers.
Files.
on.
So then,
And I
going,
said,
oh,
that's
stack
what
it
I'm
now.
doing.
Right.
Yep, except for that brand new football stadium.
The well, there's that.
If they want my game, I mean,
Yeah, I was gonna
And
say.
go to it.
some of them
Wow.
are a little bit, hierarchical. Simple, maybe it's a better word. That's
You're in a different. This is Sunday. This is like
No, I know, I remember a couple faces from
Yeah.
the other meeting I
doing
went
that,
to.
doing that.
Should we get going?
Faster
Yeah,
than-
I was gonna
Okay,
say, we've
that.
got, yeah, Why don't we do intros real
Yeah.
quick?
Yep.
Yeah.
So should we go ahead?
Yes. Let's do
All
it.
right. Well, I'll go ahead and start then. So welcome everybody. We suggested to do a round of introductions, so I'll start. I'm Doug Gooden.
Chief Cook and Bottle Washer, current president.
Current president.
Yes. Manhattan, Maine. And I'm Jim Berger, been here forever.
Mike Baldessaro, relatively new to Topeka earlier this year, and new to the club.
Brett, I'm just a rapid honeymoon guys.
Well, that would apply to many people. Give the poor man your name.
Brett, that's it.
The one they put on the arrest warrants.
That's Jim. That's what everything is Jim, so that way I don't do that.
I got you. Well, anyway, he's pretty funny.
That's funny. Angel Romero on the board as well.
Dave Cromer, treasurer, board.
What's the downtown?
Everything.
Jess Nebraska, board.
Okay. Well, so tonight what we got is I'm going to talk about a few things that are news and all that usual kind of stuff, and then I'll turn over the floor to Russ, who's going to talk about processing planetary images. Should we turn off some of the lights in here? Or?
Oh, Lord mercy.
I don't know if I want everybody falling asleep on me, but
You're talking to astronomers. We don't even think about sleeping.
man, I had a room full of graduate students this morning, and one of them fell asleep on me.
Yep.
Anyway, so Russ will talk about processing planetary images. I had all these good intentions of loading the software and following along, and boy, that didn't happen. So I'll just be following along. Yeah. Anyway, so first of all, upcoming things. Obviously, you know about this meeting because you're here. There's a public night on Saturday night. Weather skies right now are kind of uncertain, but I think we will. As of now, I see no reason why we shouldn't just proceed. Somebody else, by the way, will have to make the decision if you want to cancel due to cloudiness, because I will not be there. So, if one of you want to, or all of you want to kind of take on that role. And then the next general meeting is a little bit earlier in the month than they usually are, because obviously because of the Thanksgiving vacation. So next general meeting is on November the 17th. And then the exciting news. I think with this email already went out about this, but never too early to announce the Christmas party. So it'll be December 3rd in the usual place. And there was an mention of some surprises. So
That's possible.
So I'll be curious to see what these surprises are.
Yes, well, maybe you will, maybe you won't. For those of you who may not have been around before, it's a potluck, and the board supplies, all the other utensils and all that other kind of stuff. And bring your favorite beverage, although it can't have alcohol in it, and just whatever you want to. And then we usually do. Everybody just kind of sits around and talks about that and asks questions or whatever. And then there may be some surprises this time because this has been done before, but we haven't for a while, COVID and everything else. And so there might be some awards given out. And let's just say they won't have engraved plaques.
Okay. Well, I'll be really curious to find out.
But it's really nice. It's a nice place to come and just yak and talk, and, see people in full lighting.
Yeah. So, anybody have any announcements they want to share? I guess Gary's not here to give us an update on the Tombaugh. He did circulate some emails about that. New mirror is kind of a work in progress, but it sounds like he's got some changes to make in the mirror cell that we hope will take care of some of those problems. When we were looking at it the other day, the stars look like little street. You probably know this. You remember what the insignia for a Specialist 4 looked like?
Oh yeah,
That kind
the
of.
sham shield.
Yeah, they looked like that to me. Little tiny, kind of smeared out triangles, but they're
Yeah.
semi-triangles. But anyway, that was.
And from what Gary said, he thinks it's strictly the mechanics and stuff. The
Yeah.
mirror seems to be
yeah, he didn't seem to think it was the mirror, which is good, and it was the way it sits in the
Cradle.
I just know love it.
Well,
It's
we'll
history.
Yeah, but he's apparently designed a new way of holding up the mirror so it'll be supported more evenly. And it's funny how sensitive those things are, and as they get even bigger, they get even more sensitive. I remember reading a book once about research that was being done at Mount Palomar, which at the time this book was written was the biggest telescope in the world, and they were having all kinds of problems with it when they first designed it, which was like back in the 40s sometime. And somebody went to a hardware store and bought a fishing scale, those things you hang a fish on to see how much they weigh, and hooked it up to some place, and it provided just enough tension to pull the mirror into the right shape. So the guy that wrote this book, his name is Richard Preston. He's a really good science writer. The book's called First Light. If you ever get a chance to read it, it's very good. Even though it's like 1980s, so everything, the astronomy stuff is mostly kind of old. But anyway, he was talking about, somebody at some point was doing an inspection on the telescope and said, "What's this thing here?" And took it off, and everything went to hell again, and and then it was like, put it back on, and everything worked again. So it's kind of amazing how sensitive those things are to just tiny.
Sure, God's solution right there.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
if you think of it, who was it, Penzias and whatever, that they basically discovered, ultramagnetic or whatever it was, radiation because of pigeon droppings on the telescope.
Yeah, they were cleaning all that stuff out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Anyway, so any other announcements?
Oh, just get your election ballots in.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so news. Again, as always, these are the news things that caught my eye. If you have things you want to share with the group, please let me know. This was one I thought was really interesting. For a very long time, there have been references in history to the star catalog of Hipparchus, but who was thought to be one of the first people ever to actually catalog stars. But nobody could ever find the actual catalog. There were all these references to it. Well, they think maybe they found it. It was actually found in a series of documents where, at a monastery, where the Hipparchus, paper was very valuable in the ancient world. It was more valuable than gold. So it got reused a lot. So what happens is somebody literally wrote over the top of Hipparchus' star catalog with something else. And then they use these kind of advanced techniques to sort of analyze the page, and they could find the stuff related to it. So one of the long lost works, at least part of one of the long lost works of star cataloging has possibly been found. This is one for the black hole enthusiasts. This whole notion of spaghettification has been familiar for a long time. And what happens is when matter gets pulled into a black hole, it kind of gets wound up, like if you take a fork and wind up spaghetti, But nobody's ever actually seen it getting burped back out of one of these things. So this was observed. So far, no explanation for it, but they think it might be more common than they thought. So there's a kind of a depiction of this process taking place, obviously an artist depiction because nobody's out there to take a picture of it. But I thought this one was kind of interesting because anytime something happens that seems like the exact opposite of what should happen, it's interesting. Here's one. I think you also circulated something about this in the daily one. This is an analysis of Mars that suggests that it might have been much more Earth-like, warm and wet, even before the Earth had cooled. It's been known for a while that Mars is older than the Earth, but they were kind of thought to be maybe not that different back in their kind of earlier evolutionary stages. And this suggests that there probably was oceans, which people have thought kind of suspected for a while that there had been large water surfaces of some kind, and much warmer temperatures, which you would get from an ocean and would help produce an ocean. So I thought this one was kind of interesting. Could Mars have been a blue dot at one time while the Earth was still basically a rocky, glowing ball of stuff? One of the things I wasn't sure about on this, and I unfortunately didn't have enough time to follow up, is I wonder if this would have been before the moon was formed. Because, the moon was thought to be formed with a collision with another object, probably about the size of Mars, that splattered out all this stuff that became the moon. And I was kind of wondering if that happened before or after this. I suspect probably before, but or after. Sorry, this would have been after, but I don't know that. Anyway, that was one I thought was kind of interesting. This is one I thought was pretty cool. They found oxides of nitrogen, in particular nitrous oxide, which is one of the oxides of nitrogen, in the atmosphere of an exoplanet. It's TRAPPIST-1F, which is one of the really well-studied exoplanet systems. Got several of them, lots of different types. I still find it rather amazing that you can do atmospheric analysis of a planet that's that far away. You know, if you think about what you're looking at this tiny little dot against the background of this very large star, and around that tiny little dot is a even tinier little layer of gas. You know, I mean, if you consider the Earth as an example, if the Earth was like a basketball, the Earth's atmosphere would be about the thickness of maybe 5 playing cards around. It's very, very thin. So the fact that that signal can be detected just amazes me. But then this idea that there's this other indicator of life. There's nitrous oxide in the Earth's atmosphere. In fact, there's several oxides of nitrogen in the Earth's atmosphere. And they are due to biological processes. They're due to a different kind of biological process. They're not the result of like carbon dioxide and oxygen in the atmosphere are probably related to respiration in the biosphere. This is something completely different. This is a sulfur fixing process. So anyway, I thought that was interesting because there's been a number of planets now that have been found with oxygen in the atmosphere and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and possibly water vapor, which would all be, indicators. They wouldn't be a smoking gun of life, but they would be evidence for it. So this is a different one, and that sort of caught my eye also because I like exoplanets. They're kind of my favorite thing in astronomy. But anyway, this was one I didn't really know what to make of. Apparently, this is an actual image of something that was found around a star that is stumping people now. Not sure what it is. It obviously has this very regular structure to it here. I could see how that's maybe something wavy or something, but this one was one that kind of stumped. It's got apparently quite a few people stumped. I don't know if this is really an alien structure. I'm, defaulting to aliens as an explanation just seems like kind of lazy thinking to me.
Yeah.
But there was an idea that was circulating around a few years back that they had discovered a Dyson sphere around a star, right? Where some civilization had closed. And it turned out not to be the case, but and then there's that guy from Harvard that thinks that Oumuamua was a alien probe. I read his book and it's fascinating. And this guy, I've heard him interviewed a couple times. He's obviously sharp. I mean, the guy's the head of astronomy at Harvard, so he's not an idiot by any means. But anyway, this was one that sort of popped up on my news feed because I tend to filter out the weird stuff. So this was one that was kind of interesting. If you look at the stars, right, they fall into two populations. And when I was taking astronomy classes in college, they were referred to as population 2 and population 3. So population 2 stars were the ones that were metal poor, right? So in astronomy, every element heavier than lithium is a metal, which is different from chemistry, obviously. But so a metal poor star is any star that doesn't have much of anything in it other than hydrogen, helium, or lithium. Hey, Gary.
Hey.
And so those were the elements that were formed in the Big Bang, right? So these were thought to be early stars, and then population 3 stars would have formed when the population 2 stars flamed out and broke up and went nova and all that stuff, and the leftover stuff got formed. And I always wondered, then if that's true, what's a population 1 star? Well, it turns out maybe they finally found one now, and these would be the ones that really are just composed of the primordial material, right? They would be nothing but hydrogen, helium, and a little bit of lithium. So I thought that was kind of interesting. This is around a distant quasar, which quasars are thought to be galaxies in an early stage of their formation when the nuclei are still really active. So this would have been, this is a long way back in look back time, basically. So, these are obviously whatever's out there doesn't look like that now. But if you look far enough back out in the distance, you're looking far enough back in time to start seeing some of these things. So this was, I thought, a really interesting thing, and it answered that old question I always had of, what were the population 1 stars? This may be one of them.
Well, to my understanding, quasars are actually the actively feeding black holes.
Yeah, but it's
Few
at
jets.
the center of
they're
the
a
primordial
quasar.
galaxy. Yeah.
Really,
So
yeah.
it's kind of an early stage of in galaxy formation. And if you look back, this is actually that book I was talking about, First Light. One of the groups of astronomers this guy follows around, they're looking for early quasars out in the distant, distant cosmos, and they found what they called the quasar cutoff. The distance in look back time where you don't see quasars anymore. So the idea is that they've evolved into something else now. There are active nuclei galaxies, I think, are considered sort of an intermediate stage between all that too. So anyway,
Quasar stands for quasi-stellar, which is
Quasi-stellar.
a nice way of saying we don't know what the heck this is.
well, when they first saw them, they thought they were stars because they looked like stars. In fact, they looked like a star. The elements of it looked like a star that had severely redshifted, and so they were looking in the wrong spot spectrally. Somebody was literally looking over the shoulder. Martin Schmidt was the astronomer looking at this. One of his colleagues was looked over his shoulder, literally, at the spectrum and said, "Oh, that's the spectral signature of something, but it's in the wrong place. It's too far redshifted." And so for a while they thought they were just really weird stars, but then as they realized how far away they were, and they called them quasi-stellar objects because they thought they were some weird kind of star that they didn't know what it was. And but it produced far too much power to be that bright, that far away. So they realized it had to be something else. And yeah, Justin's right. They send out these jets, and there's some of them that kind of, some of them the jet is like end on to us, so you're looking directly at it, and they have a very powerful signal. Anyway, so there was a asteroid return mission, Ryugu. This is a Japanese mission that landed on this asteroid and brought back some stuff. So first direct, as far as I know, first direct sampling of an asteroid. As far as I know. Before that, everything that we had that was an asteroid had fallen through the atmosphere and landed on the planet. But, so this is, I thought this I've always been interested in this picture here because it kind of shows the type of asteroid that's just a kind of a lumpy mass of stuff that is rather loosely held together. Anyway, so that was one.
Yeah, that tends to be when you've seen close-ups of asteroids. That's what they look like.
Yeah.
They look like just.
In my mind, I'd always pictured them as like rocks that look like potatoes.
Yeah.
And now I have to kind of readjust my thinking to some of them are just loosely gathered piles of stuff, basically.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see that here. There's some kind of a crater there.
That's the one we ran into here intentionally. That's all.
Yeah, with the dark vision.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think some of the daily things that I sent out, the trail was they still were having a tail off of that thing, and they haven't gotten the orbital, they don't know for sure how far, but they didn't knock it off out of its orbit a whole lot more than they
That's
thought.
right.
30
The
seconds.
impact, yeah, the
That should've-
impact was way, the effect of that was
It
way
kind of
stronger than
slowed
we
it
thought.
down in its orbit, really didn't
Yeah.
change its orbit much, it just slowed down the amount that it was going.
I should have brought an update on
And
that,
then it will
actually.
shrink up
Mhm.
eventually.
Yeah, but if it slows down, couldn't that also mean then that its orbit may change?
It will change over time, but
Yeah.
it didn't really impact the angle that it goes around hitting most material. But it slowed it down enough that it will then readjust its orbit and make its tighter orbit going around.
Well, and changing the orbit is what they wanted it to do anyway.
Right. Well,
So,
right.
yeah.
Yes.
I
all we
should
had
have,
to do was, the idea was that if you slow something down or change it toward either one, then you're gonna have a miss, assuming that your initial contact was correct.
if it's, yeah, and if it's far enough away, you don't have to move it very much to make it miss.
No, and I don't think, never seen anything, in articles or whatever said that the people who had, planned all of this, they had certain expectations, but this was far beyond what they expected. And that was one of the big differences.
Well,
We were on the high side of the range.
Yes,
my,
that was one of those wishful thinkings, and it turned out to be true.
yeah, my experience with NASA is that they underestimate
That was one there,
intentionally.
Yeah, it's like they
You
don't
know,
know.
because then when they overachieve,
They had a range of about 2 to 15.
Yeah.
To give you an idea of kilometers.
yeah, that's a pretty standard thing. I remember that when they first launched Landsat, they said it would last 5 years, and it lasted 27 years. So,
Well, a lot of it was just how soft is this material that they're
Yeah.
slabbing into, and how much is it just gonna absorb or deflect?
yeah,
So,
Yeah.
yeah, that was part of
And
it.
of course, even that is assuming that all asteroids are of the same kind of general
No, they're not.
composition. And they're not,
They're
right. So, they hit that one, but at least, it was interesting to me that their projections were off as much as they admit that they were.
yeah.
Actually, they were thin,
Mhm.
but they always tell the public that.
Well, yeah, I mean, what
They're
they-
gonna be
that's
on
what
the
I
low
mean.
end here.
Yeah, that's what I mean, it was less than they
Yeah.
said it was gonna be, right, they announced, yeah.
But it was within range for what they did.
So here's another one from the exoplanet files. And at first glance, you might think, well, okay, a star blew up
Mhm.
atmosphere away. It's not our atmosphere. What's the big deal? But there's really kind of an important implication to this. This was an N-type star, which is one of the more common types. And it's also one of the types that is thought to be one where you might look for planets with life on them. But they're also kind of stars that flare a lot.
Mhm.
And so what this probably suggests is that N-type stars may not really be suitable for life. This flaring might blow the atmospheres away of planets, and obviously you're not going to get life under those circumstances. So this could really dramatically, or at least substantially, affect estimates for how many planets there are that are actually capable of life. So what I'm planning for next month's meeting is a thing on the Drake equation, which is not
Mhm.
really an equation in the normal sense of the word, but
Mhm.
it's a framework for estimating the number of intelligent civilizations. And this could really affect some of those terms in that, because it makes it somewhat less likely that one entire type of star is not really suitable for life.
Even the red stars are kind of, they have a lot of injections of UV that's going out.
Yeah.
And they tend to be kind of irregular for a planet that may be in the habitable zone but gets fried by X-rays that are UV.
Yeah. It seems like the extreme ends of the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram are not going to be suitable for different reasons. And this one was one that was kind of in the middle. It's in that just before it passes into that instability strip, basically. And so that's kind of
Hey guys, we gotta watch our time so Russ has enough time.
okay. And finally, I'm a total space freak.
Oh, yes. that's
So
what-
this made me sad. Another member of the greatest generation of astronauts has passed away. This is Jim McDill.
Like 97.
He was very, very old.
Yeah.
And if you guys want to, I kind of collected a bunch of stuff to look at in the sky, but if we wanted to skip past that and get right to Russ, what do you think?
Let's do Russ, and if we have time, we can finish yours.
Okay.
Do that, yeah.
All right.
Because I know he spends a lot of time. This is a big training session. Or it's complicated.
I don't know. We'll see.
It's a good little bit of yourself.
would say.
Awesome. Hey, thanks.
Yes. One person.
I forgot to print that one.
I just got that Jupiter footage on that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I also have several, but I think only David and you have a laptop, so. Okay, yeah.
Remember I told you about my little voice? Remember when you were talking about my little voice that when we installed it, something was gonna happen? I just can't get my little voice to work on monitor.
Well,
Okay.
the whole voice is gonna be like 3%.
Yeah, quiet this time.
So first, so we're going to talk about how to process planetary images. So first, there's lots of steps you could do, but this is a workflow. And first off, you'll start with PIP. So we already assume you took some planetary image, which is basically a movie that you record of a planet. And if
What are we starting with, Pitt?
yep, PIP.
Yep.
So first you load up PIP. And once PIP is up, you have to remember that the top we cannot see on the projector. Okay, so what we're going to do with PIP is we're basically going to do. PIP stands for like some preprocessor, but basically we're going to cut the image and make the file smaller so that further in the steps will be more efficient. So for example, I'll just load the Saturn that I have. So
Are we supposed to follow you?
if you want to, if you have your own file, you could do it.
How
What?
did you open that? What's that window? How did you open
Okay,
that
so you go and you click Add Image Files.
one?
Okay, and then you just go where your image file is. So it'll be different on your computer.
Gotcha.
So what image file? I mean, does this like take JPEG or is it like movie? So is it MPEG or MOV? Or?
Yeah, it can. You could do lots of them. I don't know what happened there. You could do regular image files, or it could be AVIs or MOVs or MPEGs, or what's a good one is SIR. So you'll see SER. It's a way to record like the raw data from your camera. So a lot of the problems, do whatever you can do, but like when you use a SLR or something, it usually records it as like in a compressed format, and you lose a lot of information there. Usually, if you have a dedicated astrophotography camera, you could record it as SIR and hopefully get like more uncompressed data that way. You could even do like 16-bit data and do it that way.
I saw the SIR files, but I didn't know it was working.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, one second. Okay, so I'm just going to do this Saturn video that I have. But you could do whichever video you want. Dave, I gave you 3, a Jupiter, Mars, and a Saturn, so you're welcome to pick any one.
Doing Saturn movie?
Okay,
Is that what you're doing?
yeah. Okay, so there's my beautiful movie of Saturn. If you actually look at it by itself, you can see it's very shaky, and but anyway, this one was actually taken with a SLR, so it'll be compressed, but you take whatever you could get sometimes. So later I've taken ones uncompressed, but this is just an example. So here's one I took in with my SLR, and we're going to try it. So basically what we want to do is we want to get rid of all this black area, and hopefully we'll just get Saturn itself. So in PIP, if you are doing just regular images, if you just took a bunch of regular images, you could do join mode, but that'll put all the images together. In batch mode, you could do multiple movies at the same time, but for this purpose, we're just doing one video. But you could say, for example, you could have 20 videos of Jupiter as it spins, and then you could process it in this all at the same time.
As a batch?
Yeah, as a batch. So there's some presets that it's nice that it has for you. So for this example, we're just going to pick Planetary on here. So we're going to do optimize options for Planetary. And basically what we're going to do is just go through all these tabs at the top and make sure that the options are what we want. So we loaded up our Saturn. Then we have our input options. So for our input options, most of these are fine. A lot of these will depend on what kind of video file you're bringing in. Sometimes you could format stuff so it has a better file name, and you get the date and time, which could help you processing later on. But in this case, we just have a video, and we're just going to process it all. You can also, if you have a very long video, you could just say only do the first so many frames or do the last frames, stuff like that. But in this one, we're just doing the entire video. So next is processing options. It's already on Planetary mode, and we want we want to reject the frames that have no object in there, and we're going to. A lot of times these defaults are just fine. The minimum object size is 25. You could detect the object automatically, and when you press this, what shows up red is what it detected as the object, and that's fine. So cropping, that's our main purpose here, is basically to center the object and crop it. So we could see, Saturn is, it's probably 7. So we have between 700 and 1,000 or so. So it's only about 300 pixels big. So we could crop it so that it just contains our Saturn here, and so you could change these cropping numbers. And if you want to see if it fits what you want, you can hit this test options button on the top. So we know that it contains Saturn. So Saturn's in there. It's big enough. You could probably shrink it if you want, but this is good for me. You might be able to probably just go with 400 or whatever instead of 480. So I could test that again and make sure it fits in there. This will just, now that it's smaller, it'll make the next steps go a lot quicker. Quality options, you could do quality, but usually I just mess with quality in the next step, not in pip. But you could automatically reject frames of bad quality and stuff. So this first frame, for example, will probably end up being thrown out because it's pretty blurry, it's pretty shaky there.
So if you enable quality estimation, that allows you to not use bad images, or it's automatically doing it now?
Yeah, it makes it so you could get rid of bad images right now if you want to. But I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do that in the step after pip.
So we're not checking.
Yeah, so we're not checking it, but that's what this tab is for. So later you're welcome to try some of these other options. There's lots of options, and the way I do it is not probably not the most optimal way. It's just a way to do it. Okay, so animation options are just good. We're not going to mess with that. Output options, I want to output into the SIR format again, just because SIR is probably my preferred format for doing processing. So you could output it into individual files, like if I pick PNG, but you'd get 1,000 images that then you have to process, and we want to make this easy. So I'm going to put it as a SIR format, and then it will end up making a new folder from where the location of this file is called pip, and it'll have a date and time in it as if this is appended to it. So it'll be called pip 2022-10, whatever day it is, and the time on it. So did anyone have any questions about any of those options so far?
So
I'm probably going fast.
I've never heard of a SIR file. So if I were to process the Saturn, would a SIR file, like, could I post it on our Facebook NeCal page?
Probably no. Probably nothing. Like a browser can't play a SIR file.
Okay.
So you could get a player to play a SIR file.
VLC or whatever.
VLC might play. There's actually even a specific program that the people that made PIP write. That's called SIR Player. So, for example, I have this Jupiter. That's a SIR file. And so this is the Jupiter. Right.
So a SIR file is like you play on your.
Yeah, like a browser won't play. It's kind of a specialized video file because they're usually kind of big.
So which one of those file formats would be like workable for posting on our NeCal Facebook page?
AVI file.
AVI file.
I mean, AVI, probably your browser still might not play. I mean, if you just want to be able to play, I mean, you could probably upload it and maybe Facebook will convert it for you.
Okay.
But they probably won't convert SIR, but they might do AVI.
Okay.
Yeah.
Usually like stop dot move or dot embed for Facebook videos.
Yeah. But you probably don't want to post whatever the output of this is to
I
Facebook.
just know a lot of people do.
Well, I mean, you probably want to post after you processed it.
Yeah.
Maybe?
The finished product.
The finished thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we're done with PIP, it's not a finished product.
We're not done yet. There's other things after PIP.
All right.
We're just getting started.
Just getting started.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah. So, all right. So, and then we're gonna do. Yeah. So if you like all your options, you could always run test option anytime. It'll just do it on the first frame or whatever.
What tab is that one?
Oh, and do processing.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. So once you got that, then you just hit start processing, and then it'll go. And this could take some time depending on what you're doing.
7,300 frames.
Yeah.
Let's see, on the file I'm doing that I took, I've got 2315 frames.
Mm-hmm.
Done.
So is this at all throwing out crappy frames?
Nope. So that's what the quality options, you could do that,
Uh-huh.
but I'm just doing quality in the next step.
Then the next thing you're doing takes out
Yeah.
bad frames?
Yeah.
So I see on some of the Facebook groups I follow is these guys take movies and they might have 20,000 frames and they only use 1,000.
Sure.
And they're really getting nice images,
Yeah.
nice movies.
So I might use, like in this Saturn, for example, I might end up only use 700 frames.
And that 700 produces an image.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you want to animate, like, I don't know that you do an animation of Saturn, you can. Like, say we're doing Jupiter.
Right.
Jupiter's a nice one to do animation for. And so what you want to do is you limit your recording time to around 2 minutes usually, and you take several 2-minute videos. And then you'll have a frame for each one of those videos, and then you put those images together to make a movie. Yep.
Much like a stat in Astrophotography.
Yeah. Yep. But like each of those like 2,000 frame movies would end up using like one image for it. Yep.
Your computer's a lot faster than mine.
Yeah.
I'm only 38 then. 30%.
Well, it should be faster. We got that off. We got that off eBay. Or
Yeah.
whatever, yeah.
Come on!
Dial-up in the internet. You're downloading done in 3 days.
AOL sign on.
Okay, so I know you're still working, but my output's done. I'll show you where it went. So basically, I had. Let me open a graphical thing for you guys. Okay. I had. Okay, so this was the folder that I had it in, and I made a folder called pip with the date, like I mentioned. And now we have this Saturn SIR file. Right, so now you can see, it's a video that's much more small.
And higher quality.
It should be the same quality. I think just the first frame was horrible.
Right.
Right, so it's the same quality as the short. It's just smaller. You know, like all the outsides got cut. So like this first frame and this first frame are, you know, they're the same. It's just, yeah.
Just the crop.
That first frame was really bad, and
Okay.
you know, and it was showing that first frame in
Alright.
PIP. Okay.
So that is a movie. How long is it?
What does it say?
It's 30 seconds at least.
The MOV would probably be better. It has the. Sorry. Okay. It is. This one's 4 minutes, so I think you could take 5 minutes of Saturn, and it's okay.
So what was your original movie like?
Well, my original movie, it's the same length because I didn't
Same
remove
length.
any. Because all we did is remove the black space around it and center it.
Okay.
That's all we've done. That's all we've done so far.
Okay.
So like we've not combined anything yet. We've not rejected anything.
We just took
Just-
all the frames and cropped it
We just and centered it.
and centered it. Okay,
Yep.
I got you.
Are you still going, Dave?
I'm warming
What-
it up.
What percent?
Gotta wake up the hamsters.
What percent?
91.
Okay, you're almost done.
Almost done. Sorry, people online.
You're
I
good.
have an eBay IBM computer.
I mean, I paid 10 times more for this, so you should be happy.
96. 97. Come on, baby.
It's like when I was trying to download music.
All right.
Okay, process complete. So that means it put the file someplace. And,
Yep. So next is auto stacker it.
open auto stack it.
Yep. Auto stacker exclamation mark.
Got it.
Okay. And so what we're going to do is we're going to open that file that we made with pip.
Okay.
Actually. So probably for you, Dave, it's on the desktop in a folder called pip with the date.
So I'm trying to. How do you get rid of the ZWO advertisement? Or,
I mean, you leave that. There's two windows. There's two windows, and one of them has one open.
oh, one open?
Yeah, basically, see, like this says 1,
Okay.
2, 3.
All right.
That's
So
kind
what
of
did
this
you- What did you click to get
1.
the one open?
Yes, open. Yep.
Okay. So now I'm looking for that file.
Yep.
Yep, got it.
All right.
Am I the only one doing this? Justin's doing it.
Yep, I'm doing it.
Justin's quiet. I'm the busy. Don't know what the hell.
Well, I went over it with Justin last week.
Oh.
And the time before.
That's not fair. I look so dumb right now.
And the
I'm on
time,
the internet as the dumbest guy on the planet.
and the time before.
Yeah. Okay, so once you open it, you should see the first frame, and you can actually go through the different frames and see them. Yeah.
I opened the SIR file, right?
Yep.
Gotcha. Like, I'm with the blurry first one.
Yep. And there's the scroll bar on top if you care about looking at other frames. You probably want to pick a different frame than the first one just because it was so bad.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
the alignment points, once you get to it, we want it above 100.
Yeah, around 100. Yep. Yep. So a lot of these options you could select them, or you could hover your mouse over and it gives you a little tooltip. So, so this says, image stabilizing. This is surface. So if you're doing moon images, you'd probably want surface. Or if you're doing sun, moon or sun. But we're doing planet. So
what is this software going to do?
this is going to get rid of the bad ones and put together all the good ones.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. So we want to make sure planet is selected here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just leave dynamic background. You could play with it if you want. Quality estimator decides it's used to determine how good the frame is. I usually just leave it at the regular one. regular 5 and local. But you could hover over to see what it should use. You know,
Is that like how much up it's jiggling? 'Cause
that'll be like how it detects. It'll detect the bad one. If it jiggles, it'll detect it as a bad one.
that's like the
But you probably just want like a local. If you're doing moon, you might want global. I don't know. You could play it around. A lot of these you could just play around with and see how you get the best results.
okay.
Then you can click analyze, and it'll go through all of them, and it'll see which frames are. It'll judge the quality of each frame. And then after you're done analyze, basically we want to place this grid where it'll detect different areas on the object and stack it correctly if it needs to do any rotations or whatever.
What did you click to do that?
This place AP grid that's on the side. And what you want is you probably want around 100 points is what I've heard is best. So you could change this AP size to be different sizes to get around 100. So when I pick 24 and do it, I get around 100.
Where do you see the number of what you got?
Oh, so yeah, the alignment points is right here. So right now I have 97 alignment
I have
points.
4.
Right, so you want to change your alignment size to be a different one, different size. So there's some presets ones like 24, 48,
I got
104.
And you can click up and down all that.
Yeah, and
Choose
this,
to-
yeah.
Because I got mine going to 130 alignment points.
So and when I click 24, is that supposed to change the number on
Well,
it?
then you got to do a place AP grid.
Place 93.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So, and then see these stack options.
Yes.
So this is how much percentage of the frames that we're going to stack. So I usually you could set different ones and then see which ones give you the better quality. So just for fun, like I do like 50, 30, 15, 10. So the 10 one, you would only keep, like 700 frames, whereas 50 you would keep like 3,000 frames.
So those boxes are different runs of through the frames?
Yeah, or it'll create a file for each one of these boxes.
Okay. So what are you doing? 30, 15, 10?
50, 30, 15, 10.
Yeah, I mean, if it's like a really blurry night, you might even want to do like 5 or I don't know, like you could see. Like if you went from 15 to 10 and you saw a good improvement, then maybe you should actually change it to try to compare 10 with 5.
Okay.
Or
And you've got sharpen, check.
yeah, sharpen check, and I'm gonna save it as a TIFF. If you got like a lot of chromatic aberration, then you can hit RGB align too. What?
The TIFF is at the top.
Yep, TIFF is at the top. Okay, and sometimes this drizzle command, or just drizzles, is nice too. This will basically make your image bigger than what it originally was. It tries to upsample your image using multiple frames to get that data. So if you have pretty good data, then you could upsample and get a high resolution image. So it takes longer though. So for this example, I'm just going to set it to off. Any questions before I hit stack?
So save in folders, does it go back to save in the folder this is coming from?
Yes. Yep. So it'll create several folders inside that pib folder. It'll have like AS_50, AS_30, AS_15, AS_10. And each one of those will be 2 images. One will be a sharped version and one will just be the non-sharped version. The sharp version is nice for previewing maybe which one is the better quality out of all these percentages. But the next step after this, we're going to use the unsharpened image. But the sharp one is just good to see like maybe which is the better one.
Okay, so stack.
Yeah, so then you hit stack. And this could take some time too. So But yeah, so I already had the 50 in here, right? So there's a 50 stack. Let's see.
How do you determine how many exist
Yeah, I don't so I mean, like, what percentage?
there?
I mean, probably in Kansas you're never gonna ever get more than 50% want. So that's why I do 4 of them with different percentages. So when they're all done, I'll compare.
Yeah.
So now they're all done. So I could open 2 of these. Let me see. All right, hold on.
I just came up with my first one.
Okay. So let's, if we could compare the 50 with the 30, right? Let me view at, make sure they're the same zoom 1:1. Okay, so here's the 50% compared to the 30%, and then you'd be like, all right, which one of those is better? Or I could just automatically start with going to the 10%. Okay. It's like, is the 10% better than the 30%?
Probably kind of depends on which, if you look at the difference in the Cassini division, that's what I noticed the most difference between.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you could see more in the 10% here? I don't know.
Yeah, I would say 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, all right, so the 10% is better than the 30, so what about the 15? Yeah, so here's the 10, here's the 15.
I would say the 10, you can see the band better on the cloud.
Yeah, see, I think the 15, the one on the right is a little bit clearer on that. The color is different too, you notice. To me, I think that 15 looks like the color's a little brighter. That's just.
So if we only took 10% of the 7,300 frames, that's 73 frames.
No, we had 7,300.
I mean 7,000. So that's 700 and some frames.
Yep.
But the movie is what, 50 frames a second?
I think it was 30.
30. So this is a 25 second.
I think it was 4-minute video.
No, I mean after you take the best.
Oh, like how many frames, how much time that is that?
Light is
Okay.
25 seconds.
Yeah, so like 730 divided by 30. Yeah, 24 seconds.
That's pretty good.
So it's the best 24 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you just took a 24-second image,
Right, you would probably get worse results.
yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so where did you go to open up the images? Oh,
So you know that pip folder before? Inside that now is folders called AS_50, AS_30, AS_15, or whatever.
Yeah, I'm on 10 now, so.
so how can you tell the difference between sharp and unsharp?
So the one that has the sharpen is called has an _CONV at the end.
Oh, I see.
So that's the sharpen one. So the sharpen one is nice to compare your percentages, but the next step we're going to use the unsharpen. But to do the comparison, you can use the sharpen.
Yeah, that's cool. So what camera did? Oh, you used a DSLR.
Yeah, this one's DSLR. So the other images on there are the IMX 224 camera. One's taken with the IMX 224. So the Jupiter and the Mars that you have that are also on there, those were taken with an astrophotography camera.
So this is just a straight DSLR set on movie. There are no filters or anything.
There's a Barlow.
there's a bar low,
Yeah.
with no specialized filters
Mm.
or colors and all that.
Nope. No atmospheric dispersion corrector. No. Yeah. Nope.
It's really good on the moon.
Yeah, I like doing it on the moon too. Okay. So I guess let's go with 15 here. The 15%. And we're going to close AutoStacker. And the next step is Registacks.
So do I? Okay, so. Okay, we're closing that one down and opening.
Rich,
Right.
And so we're just going to pick that 15%er.
What did you do? Select.
Your book.
Yes, select. Yeah. And then we're going to make sure you pick the one that's not the sharpened.
Okay,
So the one without the underscore CONV.
the AP,
Yeah, so yeah, the AS underscore P. Oh, I'm on 30 again.
Okay, can you come over to when I open that P15 folder, or got nothing in it?
Oh yeah, so you need to make sure the file type is TIFF.
for the AS3, yeah.
Oh, that's it. All right.
So we want the one that doesn't have the CONV. Okay, and then so usually I do the stretch intensities once it comes up. Are you with us, Justin, too?
I'm still finishing.
Okay. Okay, cool. So I usually do stretch intensities. That just does a little auto stretch. And then a lot of times your color might be bad. This was done with a SLR, so the color is really not too bad. If you use an astrophotography camera, usually the colors are pretty bad. So you could do RGB balance. Oh yeah, and if you have a lot of chromatic aberration, you can also still do RGB align here, but you can also do that in AutoStacker. But for here, we'll do RGB alliance, and you could just hit auto balance, and it sort of tries to do like a nice white balance to get a good color. It really didn't have to do much here on Jupiter or on my other camera. It's the colors are really off, and like Justin's camera, the entire thing's green.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but you after you do auto balance, if you still don't like how these are, you could move these bars to try to get like the color that you're kind of going for. You know how you think Saturn should be, or whatever. It's kind of like this part of the thing is sort of really up to your own personal taste. A lot of this, or how patient you are, because especially the next step it takes some time. But yeah, so yeah, so usually I just hit auto balance once, but
So how did you get to the window that just showed one color?
it's I just slide it. I was just showing you when you slide it, you could set it so that the colors are how you like it to be.
I got you.
So that's good for me. And then you can go to now we're in wavelets, and this is the part that could take some time. So this is where it really it sort of changes. This is where you could get a lot more contrast in your image. So this step would bring out like the clouds of Jupiter and like a lot of the surface features on Mars if you're doing Mars. So what you do is you mess with these sliders. You basically slide it, and you end up getting like more things become a little bit more sharper. So you could enable it and disable it and see the difference. Right? Do you see how that? So okay, without it, with that slider on, you see the difference.
A little bit.
right? So basically, and then if it gets too noisy, you could increase these denoise levels. And it should also get rid of some of the grain as you go. But basically, you try to we're trying to just bring out, maybe some of the more cloud details or more of the Cassini division in our Saturn image. And you don't want to do it too hard, but this is more like what it is for personal taste. So you can mess with it, see what happens like when you make it really extreme and go from there, right? So now it's getting, now I'm getting really extreme and it's starting to look pretty artificial. But it's really up to your personal taste, right?
So you just took all the wavelength 6 sections, whatever those are, and just maxed them?
Yeah, the wavelets, yeah. I'm not saying to do that. I'm just showing you, when you max them,
so
it looks pretty artificial.
Levels? Is that just something the program does?
Yeah. It's sort of the way how it emphasizes the different contrast in your image. So the other day Justin did a really good Jupiter, but it just takes a lot of patience messing with it.
Yeah,
And one thing, once you get your scheme set
Oh yeah,
on there,
you can
you
save
can
it.
save it. So then the next time you go do that same planet, or the next or two next following, it's still going to have that scheme. So it could go right back to that.
Yeah, so I could save this and be
Preset.
like Saturn on whatever 2210, whatever today was, and you can at least maybe it works for the next time you do Saturn. Maybe it's just a good starting place. And
Well,
there's
yeah, your scene's gonna be different too, you know, you take
Uh-huh.
one after the other, so.
you might need to
Yeah.
tweak it. You might need to tweak it a little bit,
Uh-huh.
but there's also other wavelet settings that you could play with. There's these other, dyadic versus linear and default versus Gaussian, and you could just play around with those for hours to see what gives you the better image. So if you want to.
Yeah, this could have saved my first meal. I keep forgetting I'm online. Give me something to do.
But always remember, you could see what this particular layer of the wavelet is doing by enabling it, disabling it. You can also click this, and it tries to highlight what it's doing. So
It's like eating.
I don't know really what this particularly tells me. It's the sharpener preview. I don't know what this tells me exactly, but you maybe could use it to decide how you want it to be. But you could just undo all these, and you could just see, okay, what is just one doing? Okay, that's what one doing. What about two? Okay, that's what it's two doing. Did that improve it? Okay. How about three? I tend to have a problem, I think, where I overdo this wavelets thing. So if you overdo it, it just looks I think it just looks pretty fake. So
if you were to do a globular cluster, this probably is not going to help much in terms of adjusting like we are with the Saturn.
So I'm not 100% sure how actually wavelets work, but I think it does. It changes contrast and color into sharpness. So I don't know that it would work in it. What it would do in a globular cluster. You could give it a shot. You could load up deep sky stuff and see what you could do with it. But I think it really is just trying to change, trade in different color contrasts for sharpness. It tries to detect divisions using different, when the color's a little bit different, and define them more. So I don't know that it would work in. I haven't tried it, so you could. It may be something to give it a shot. I know a lot of like Deep Sky software does have a wavelets in it. I don't know if they plan on you using it in Deep Sky. You know, like for Deep Sky, I usually use a program called Cyril, and it does have a wavelets option, but they also make Cyril so you could do Planetary in it also. So Cyril could do most of the things of the steps I showed you to do it, but I think the stuff like AutoStack does it a little better than Cyril does. But I use this a lot for Deep Sky, and it has a wavelets option. Let's see. Oh yeah, this ATROS wavelets transform. It's a similar thing to what we're doing here in Registax. Anyway, so this, you know, so after, oh yeah, so once you've done wavelets and you've liked how that's gone, then you could just click like do all, make sure that you still like it, and then you hit save image. And then you could just say like, okay, what format do I want to save it as? If you keep it as TIFF, it won't compress it yet. So it could be like, I could just like append wavelets to this, wavelets, and then save it. So, so this is our, okay, so I'll bring up where we started. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, BNC Saturn's new video. Okay.
Yeah, because this is where I got mixed up.
Oh yeah?
Running, okay, red stacks. So I'm going to close that here. Alright. So,
Anyway, this kind of shows, you know, where we started. Let's see if I go full screen on this. You know, I mean, this is probably not the best frame. Really, if you watch this movie, you see the division sometimes, but like I tell you, like you go through individually frames, you almost you like rarely ever see it. It's like some weird thing that happens with your eye, that it's averaging it for you. It's like your eye's already stacking it for you. When I go through the individual frames, I can't really see it. So anyway, so we got this image where we could, like maybe this frame. I don't know, I can't really see much, but you know, and then this is our end result, which I think is a lot improved.
And Dave, I think that TIFF image you can't post on Facebook. I think TIFF is one of the formats that you can post it.
You can also see, you can also save it as JPEG, which would be available. If you do TIFF, it would be uncompressed still, so you could keep that, and then you could resize it or do some other stuff to it, and then save that as a JPEG that you post at places.
I've never heard of the SIR format before.
Oh yeah, and remember the astrophotography camera. I've been using fire capture that could save as SIR, and there's a lot of astrophotography cameras. Oh yeah, dummy cam. A lot of astrophotography cameras or astrophotography software you could save it as SIR. So this is just a dummy data. It's not, you know, obviously I'm not actually doing that, but yeah, which format you want to save as is an option. But yeah, AVI you could pick, and here's SIR, right? So if I use fire capture, I could save it as SIR format. Right, Justin just saved them as tons and tons of fits for one of his images.
yeah.
And that just, I mean, it's kind of inconvenient because it's so many files, but it still works too. So you could do fits files. I just think SIR is a nice alternative to some. If you're saving it as a video, that's what I recommend. But
So what were you using to connect your camera to fire capture?
Yeah, fire capture.
you also did sharp cap too, right?
Well, or It's one that Celestron has out for the cameras itself that they put out.
Oh, okay.
What's bits? Is that an image format?
Oh yeah, it's one that's commonly used in astronomy. So it's
Flexible image.
yeah. Let's see.
So is
Flexible
it
image
actually
transport.
an image or is it actually?
It- What FITS does is FITS sets up a whole lot of information you can put in the header of it, so that you, not only do you get your image, you get a lot of other information about that image. So like the time, the date, you can put in the right sense of information, all that stuff.
That's the one,
Flexible image
The what?
transport.
the last
Yeah.
video I just got done.
Oh, okay. You want?
Oh, no, that's what Google is doing.
It'll just be a MOV on the main file
Oh, okay.
in the root directory.
Oh yeah. Okay, so Justin took this the other day. You can see the red spot really well, and the moon.
Yeah,
Moon right
it
there.
was 10.
Yeah, the moon's.
No, I mean the moon, you know.
That's pretty cool.
That was Callista. But that was 10 2-minute frames, and then each one of those broke down to a single frame.
Hmm.
And then from there, I just used like a movie maker to put them in order on there and put them at half a second each to hold up, and then
Can't remember if it was
So
this
did
one
you
or
run
animated
each
one.
image then through the program and then take those images and then run them into Movie Maker afterward, after they've been processed?
yeah, after I got done processing each one in Registats,
Then you put them in.
then I put them in, saved them onto the desktop,
Mhm.
let's say, and then from there just slide it into Movie Maker. Now, I haven't figured out to do in Registats yet a batch of them at the same time.
Like so, when I made this one, I know it's not very good. I did this one with batch and Registax. Let's see, this one right here. So I know you could do it.
Okay.
So it's like under tools, show micro batch window,
All right.
and
So so I've got the file selected.
and then you
Okay.
add files and.
Yeah, select, add the files. Okay, open, stretch intensity.
Oh yeah, and you don't do it there. You do it in Tools micro batch window, right?
Okay,
Tools show micro batch window. Then you add the files.
okay, so you don't do it in
and
the
then-
regular select, you do it.
Right, right.
Okay,
And then like you pick like if you load up your scheme for the wavelets, then under this wavelet setting, you pick
Jupiter or
you
Saturn
pick. No, I mean you load your scheme, sure, but then you gotta save it to here to tell it to do the wavelets,
Okay.
right? So, and then you have to tell it to save, and you need to pick like wavelet save. Anyway, I don't remember all the steps. It's not very easy, but you could do a batch in Registax using this. I have to find the forum instructions. Someone wrote a forum post on how to do it. That's how I did it on there, but it's not very easy to do batch on here.
Okay.
But you can do it. So you could do wavelets on 100 Jupyter files if you need to, using that batch window.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you could probably figure it out. I don't
So it's
remember all the
probably
steps.
better off just for now to do it one frame at a time.
I mean, if you don't know how, definitely, but if you look up how to do it, it's with this micro batch window.
Okay.
Yeah, in AutoStacker and the other ones, it's a little easier to do the batches.
Yeah, line stack. Yeah, because if you do just one, it's gonna already do the align and stack for you when you select it.
Oh. Uh-huh.
So then all you gotta do is just start.
Right, like you would load up your settings and then you have to give it the steps in the batch window.
Yeah.
So, okay. So did anyone have any questions or comments about all these steps we went through? Dave's going to do Planetary now.
I'm gonna, yeah, I mean, it's interesting.
I think you have that ASI camera, right? So
Uh-huh.
you can use that.
So I would hook that up to fire cap?
Yeah, you could do it with fire capture, yeah.
With fire cap?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fire
if I
capture
got
is
the-
pretty nice.
Now, if I got the SLR, fire capture would hook up to it too, correct?
So when you start fire capture, it has you pick your camera.
Right.
I don't know that it could do a DSLR, but maybe it can. So, I mean, that's something to consider. The DSLR has a movie record, though. So you might not be able to use fire capture with it. I don't know. It's a good point when you want to consider what camera to get. So fire capture is nice, though, because it can actually talk. It can also talk to your scope and keep it centered in your frame all the time. And you could set up it so it automatically runs, like takes 2-minute image, takes 2 image, or 2-minute video, 2-minute video, 2-minute video, which is really nice for like Jupiter.
Yeah.
So it could keep it in there and keep on taking videos. So you could just set it and then like go make popcorn or whatever.
Yeah, I'd probably use another one of my telescopes. Because disconnecting the 16
Oh, yeah.
and everything on is just way too much. And resetting it and everything, it takes forever.
Well, and you said something earlier about that some of the cameras weren't very good on the color, so which cameras were those, or I mean, what are you referring to?
So like with the SLR, when you record a video, it does a lot of the color processing for you when you take your video. So Saturn, it was pretty good, but check out this like Jupiter, or check out this Mars, right? So Mars is not really the right color. I don't know. It's kind of yellow. Or just look at, I think with this camera that I use, everything comes up a little bit more yellow. Here's Jupiter, right? So I probably wouldn't post that Jupiter. I want the clouds probably to be a little bit more white. Maybe this is really true color, but it's not the color I want to post.
Yeah. Is it just the camera that you're using that adds that color to, or what?
Well, so in like a DSLR, they run a lot of color algorithms for you when you take when you record.
Yeah.
So this astronomy camera, they use similar sensors, but you're really getting the raw data out of here. It's not going through another processing layer where they already recalibrated based off the color Bayer matrix that's on the color camera. So in the color camera, there's there's red, green, and blue pixels, and then it interpolates in between. But then there's a lot of math that goes into showing the right color. I did a presentation, or I did a general meeting about color, and color is really complicated.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's just interesting to me that it took both of these images and they both look that yellow color. Because I don't do this kind of stuff. I just kind of was curious on why it does it that way. But a different viewer using a different camera, different software, or whatever it would look.
Yeah, so it's not a bad camera per se, it's just the way the cameras are. It's not like this brand or this particular.
Well, no, I meant
it's
just
bad. It's just the
individually,
color needs more processing a little more.
Yeah, like by default, Justin's camera, everything's green. It's just
the way they are.
It's just the way the filters on his camera are. And
So then when you're processing that and you're kind of say you wanted to say it's Mars and you wanted to look more of that reddish orange that it really looks like, then you do that with the software, right?
Yep.
Because it's not, and you just have to know that's what it would look like.
Yeah, you have an idea of what color you want to make it.
I mean, you can make it,
maybe you could compare it-
chartreuse or purple if you wanted to, but
Yes.
that's not the point. Well, here's the reason I'm asking is, let's say you were taking an image of, I don't know, some, you know, not globular, but some kind of a nebula or something like that, and you could basically almost lie about the colors there. couldn't you?
Yes.
It happens a lot.
Yeah, well, I was
NASA's
gonna say,
really good about
because,
it.
I was gonna say, because, you know, I mean, if the light's blue, that tells you something different than the light's red, but if you decided to make it chartreuse with pink polka dots, you know, then how much science is there involved in that, I guess?
And then you got different color filters that will enter in too.
Yeah, I know, that's what it kinda, I mean, I can see, like, when you're doing the Saturn thing, you could definitely see there was that crispness, you know, like, you could, you know,
Oh,
like
yeah.
the bottom of Saturn and stuff, and the Cassini division and everything like that. And that made sense to me. When you start getting into the colors, then that's kind of a little different thing.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if this is more better color than this one was. I like it
Well, I think
better.
it's
right.
more like what you
It's more
would
what people
expect.
think of, yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's more of the actual colors of it.
Yeah.
Right, or like
Yeah, like in there.
like this one, first I had this one, which seems like doesn't have very much color, and then I made it go through. This one I took with an SLR, and I took the raw values of the SLR, so this did not go through the math and all the calculations that like that movie did of Saturn. But then I found a way that you could actually process it the same way a camera does, and so I thought this got a little bit more better color. This would be like, this is with the DSLR's calibrated color done. I don't know if it's correct or not, but I like both. Both have different details, but
Yeah, they bring out, yeah. Well, and that, you know, that's just the thing, when you do the processing for yourself, if you were doing this actually as some kind of an analytical thing, you know, you really need to have the correct colors, not just what it looks like for you, right?
if
you do
you,
this for yourself, you can do it anything you want. Okay.
yeah,
Because when you were looking at those two, like this one right here, you know, I like that one better, but it depends on kind of what you're going for. Yeah.
I mean, you can go. I mean, if you wanted to get more color for what your eye would do, what you do is you could calibrate if you have a astronomy camera, and you use a calibrated color card, and you use it at noon on a cloudless summer day, and you compare, and those calibrated color cards has values that go with them that you could download. And so you calibrate your camera to do the same type of math so that those colors come out correctly. And so then you do that same process on your astrophotography image to try to get more of what your eye would see.
Right.
If you want to. That's a lot of work, but people do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it all depends on what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like Gary says, you know, like a lot of the NASA images, those colors, like a lot of the wavelengths don't even equate to a color that our eye picks up sometimes.
Yeah.
Or sometimes, you know, they decide, well, this red, we're just going to make it green because or
Well,
whatever,
you know,
right?
the solar images, that's,
Well,
Yeah.
you know, they're just assigning it to a wavelength. You're just gonna make it look green.
And exaggeration on the saturation too, because
Yeah.
if you actually look at these colors, when you're visually seeing these objects, you don't see that kind of intensity of color that you see in these images.
Mhm.
A lot of times those colors are over exaggerated.
Mhm.
I wonder if we lost the streamers because I accidentally closed the window, but we'll see. This thing says it's streaming. I don't know. We'll see.
When did you take that background image, Ryan, remember?
I have it listed.
Mhm.
I believe it was at Gary's house. Uh-oh.
Why didn't
It
you
was a
get that
great night.
recently or like last winter or something?
It was probably 2020,
Mhm.
before COVID started.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you got up early in the morning to be able to do that, you know. And then
Yes.
you went to work, I was gonna ask you where your vitamins were.
Yeah, February 20th, 2020, looks like.
More innocent time.
Yeah. Oh, so this is with the camera calibration data, and this was just me going at it.
Okay.
I kind of like them both in different ways.
Yeah, different ways. See, that one, to me, I like it, kind of, you see those background stars much more clearly.
Mm.
But then the other one, it kind of pops the other way.
Yeah, I like the details in the clouds you see here. I don't know. I mean, they're still there when you compare, but it seems like they really punch out in the other one. Anyway.
It's kind of like they talk about, the difference in some of the images that Webb is taken versus Hubble. It's that, it's a different spectrum of light, so you're seeing the same thing, but it's in a different spectrum.
The
Yep.
forecast for Saturday night just clouded over. Forecast.
Well, see, I think that's the one that I look at tends to show that early. Not that it's always accurate.
Yeah, when we started this meeting, there was like 4 or 5 hours where it was clear. Now it's,
Give it a couple hours and then
it'll be clear all night.
Yeah, starting about.
Basically, we'll know when we get.
you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, I learned that lesson.
And we've got people out there when we had absolute downpours and stuff, because it cloud out. They're having to swim to their cars and everything else.
That's how I met Cindy.
What?
She was standing in the rain?
It was Prairie Factor. She was part of Prairie Factor.
Oh, yeah.
And they were coming out, they had scheduled time to come out, and it was raining. And I thought, well, they're not gonna show up. They did. And is there anything we can see through the telescope?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
my wife. Right there. I gotta marry that girl.
That's right.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I know. I
It's
remember I
gonna be a
had.
lifetime of education.
You can go over your stuff. if you want.
Yeah, I think it's kind
Yeah,
of
I
too late
remember one where
now.
I got really kind of angry.
Sorry, I got interrupted. It looks like you prepared a lot.
These people are allowed to vote and drive cars.
I probably
But
need
it
too
really,
many
that's one
things.
of the things you
I like 'em. I think
find
it's
out that what's
a lot of
the
times
qualities
when I
of other